Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. This week, the tech world is in a massive state of change. We're talking about everything from a $100 billion bet on AI to, believe it or not, an actual expiration date on your computer. The whole idea of what we own and control in tech, it's all up in the air, so let's get into it. So, here's what's on top. We're going to kick things off with the insane amounts of money pouring into the AI gold rush. Then we'll ask if all that innovation is about to have a head-on collision with the law. After that, we'll look at how the gadgets we use every day are changing. And finally, we'll wrap up with a huge software deadline that affects millions of you and what you need to do about it.
All right, first up, artificial intelligence. I mean, the scale and the speed of what's happening right now, it's just wild. And it all starts with one absolutely mind-blowing number. $100 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the reported budget for a colossal AI data center project from Microsoft and OpenAI. We're talking about a project so massive, it could need millions of specialized computer chips from companies like NVIDIA. This isn't just about making chatbots a little bit faster. This is about building the literal foundation for the entire economy of the future. And this quote from OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, it perfectly explains why they're willing to spend that kind of cash. He sees this race for raw computing power as the bedrock for everything else to come. It's like companies aren't just building apps anymore. They're building the digital factories that will churn out the intelligence of tomorrow. So, with all this money being poured into the plumbing, how are the AI models themselves actually doing? It's one thing to have the biggest engine, but who's actually out in front, winning the race? Well, in a recent face-off between the top models, a really interesting pattern started to show. Google's Gemini came out on top for the practical stuff, things like reasoning and pulling up real-time information. But Anthropic's Claude really shined in the more, nuanced areas. It took the top spot for creativity and for ethical thinking. It just goes to show you there isn't one best AI. It really depends on what you need it for. This pace of innovation is incredible, for sure. But it leads to this huge, uncomfortable question that's just hanging over the entire industry. Where is all the training data coming from? And maybe more importantly, was it all, legal? That exact question is at the heart of a massive new lawsuit. The big record labels are going after the AI music generator Suno. And they're not just saying Suno trained its AI on copyrighted songs. They're alleging that Suno actively broke through YouTube's security to illegally stream rip tons and tons of music. And what makes this so important isn't just using the data, but the claim that they broke digital locks to get it. That's a huge potential violation, and you can bet the whole industry has its eyes on this one. That lawsuit is really just one front in a much, much bigger war. It feels like everywhere you look, the tech industry's famous move fast and break things motto is finally smashing into a wall of legal and regulatory pushback. Governments are basically saying, okay, that's enough. A really key idea in this whole fight is something called dark patterns. And let me be clear, these aren't bugs or mistakes, they're features. They are user interfaces that are intentionally designed to be confusing, to trick you into making choices you wouldn't normally make, like signing up for something you don't really want. And the FTC is claiming one company in particular has mastered this dark art. 40 million, that's the staggering number of customers the FTC alleges Amazon tricked into signing up for Prime using these exact kinds of dark patterns. And according to the government, once you were in, trying to get out was a total nightmare. In fact, internal documents revealed that Amazon employees actually nicknamed the cancellation process the Iliad, after that epic poem about the long, grueling Trojan War. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, right? Now, this pushback isn't just happening in courtrooms. We're also seeing it in government policy. Take the Trump administration's new rules for H-1B visas, which a lot of tech companies rely on to hire skilled workers from overseas. This new policy is about way more than just immigration. Because buried deep in all that legal text is this huge loophole. It basically gives the Secretary of Homeland Security the personal power to grant exemptions to any company or even a whole industry just based on their own discretion. What this does is turn immigration policy into a powerful tool of leverage. A company that stays on the administration's good side could get a pass, while their competitors get stuck with huge fees. It creates a system where loyalty could matter more than fairness. Okay, so let's zoom out from the world of big policy and lawsuits and bring things right back to the devices in your hands, because the hardware we rely on every single day is going through some pretty fundamental changes. For years, if you ask any Apple Watch owner what their biggest complaint is, they'll probably say the battery. That 18-hour life meant you were charging it every single day, no exceptions. Well, with the upcoming Series 11, it looks like Apple is finally tackling that problem head-on. Reports claim it's going to have true multi-day battery life, and that's not just a small update. That completely changes how you can use the watch, especially for things like sleep tracking.
And it's not just watches. The whole idea of a game console is being turned on its head. For decades, the console wars were all about exclusive games. You bought a PlayStation to play Final Fantasy or an Xbox to play Halo. Well, you can pretty much say that era is over. Now, companies like Sony and Microsoft get that it's way more profitable to just sell their games everywhere, even on their rival's console. They're moving away from a business that's about selling you a box to one that's about selling you software on any screen you own. So we've covered hardware, but it's not just the physical devices that are changing. The software that powers millions and millions of our computers is about to hit a massive turning point, and it's going to force a decision that a lot of us won't be able to ignore. Go ahead and circle this date on your calendar, October 14th, 2025. This is the official end of life for Windows 10. And what that means, in plain English, is that after this date, Microsoft will stop providing free security updates and patches. Any computer still running it is going to become more and more vulnerable to viruses and other security threats. So if you're still using Windows 10, this deadline leaves you with three main choices. First, you can delay things by paying Microsoft for extended security updates for a little while longer. Second, you can upgrade to Windows 11 for free as long as your computer can handle it. Or third, you can use this as a chance to jump ship entirely and switch over to something like macOS or Linux. The one thing you probably shouldn't do is nothing at all. And this really brings us to our final thought for the day. As our web browsers get infused with AI, as our game consoles become less about the physical box under the TV, and as our computer's operating system literally comes with an expiration date, what does it really mean to own our technology anymore? It seems like we buy the hardware, but the software and services that actually make it work are in this constant state of change, totally controlled by someone else. It's definitely something to think about. And that's all for this explainer. If you found this breakdown valuable, you know what to do. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.